Hallelujah. We're going to speak into the atmosphere. And can I just say, I'm so glad to be up here. Give God another hand of praise. Give God another hand of praise. Speak into the atmosphere. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm up here. That's it really is. It's bugging me out. I don't know if it's bugging you out, but it's definitely bugging me out. Oh. This is cool, you know, I got a little clicker, right? I got a microphone. I feel very important. Pastor Todd, you must feel really cool up here every Sunday. It's good, really good. So, you guys can be seated, I'm sorry. I forgot I have to say that. Thank you, Heart of Worship. Give Heart of Worship a round of applause. We really appreciate you guys. So, today, I'm going to talk to you guys about something that I think everyone can relate to. Everyone has experienced or will experience. I want to start off by telling you something that I've learned over time. I think if there's one lesson that I've learned over time from watching God and understanding God and just living, is that the way that God has made nature, hear me out, the way that God has made nature, everything in nature, is parallel to the spiritual realm. Everything, every single design in nature that God has made is parallel to the spiritual realm. God shows us the most important lessons in His creation. Isn't that beautiful? If we look close enough, we can see the deepest knowledge and understanding in the world all around us. Check this out, check this out. In Romans, chapter 1, verse 19 through 20, the word says, "For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For His invisible attributes, namely His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made." I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. So, nothing on earth, some of you guys have been around here a long time, longer than me. I'm actually really little. I'm only 23, so I'm kind of a baby. Some of you guys have been here a long time, and if you guys have been here a long time, you know nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens just because it's like, oh, well, sun came up today. It's great. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing is by happenstance. Every last thing is for a purpose. There is a reason why roses have thorns. You understand what I'm saying to you? There's a reason why the most beautiful, sweet-smelling flower has thorns. You can't just grab that rose. You can't. It's not made like that. There is a reason why flowers fade. There's a reason why they don't last forever. Okay? There's a reason why rain is required to make fruit grow. Rain is not by accident. Rain is not just a thing that happens so that the kids can't play outside and they gotta be in the house driving you crazy. Rain is for a very specific purpose, okay? There's a reason why the sweetness of honey is surrounded by the raging buzzing of a beehive. Isn't that awesome? Why do you think God made these things happen by accident? You think it's just by happenstance? No. There's a reason why we need rain. There's a reason why honey is being surrounded by bees. There's a reason why we need the power of lightning. How many people knew that you need lightning storm? Now, I'm scared of lightning. I'm out front like I'm not. I'll be in the house and I'll be like, I don't care if it's lightning. Fine. Just leave the light on though. Just leave it on. Just in case. But I'm scared of lightning. I remember one time I was messing around with Alex Goborn. Me and him almost got struck by lightning. I don't play with that no more. I don't play with it no more. But there's a reason why there's lightning. How many people knew that lightning is necessary to fertilize the ground? Did you know if there was not lightning storms that there would be no nutrients in our food? Isn't that crazy? That's crazy, right? So all these things that God has created are for a very specific reason. So some of you here have gone through some terrible, terrible things in your life. Things that are so terrible that when you think of the memory, you wince. Does anyone have a memory like that? When you think, raise your hand if you have one memory. But if you think about it, it's like, I don't want to remember that. That's powerful. And I know some of you guys have that memory and you're not raising your hand. You don't even want to have to think about it, because once you acknowledge that you have that memory, it's real. You start reliving it right now in your seats. Everyone has a memory like that. It has become a story so deeply repressed, so enwrapped in resentment and fear, and encased with shame and guilt, that you have made it like a distant memory. Where if you think about it, it seems like it's not even real. It's got to be someone else's life. Other people in here have had memories that are just so real that you can't stop reliving it. You can't stop thinking about it. You feel it in every conversation, in every dream it comes up. It's just in your face. It could be a mistake that you made. It could be something that someone has done to you. It could be something that you witnessed that was just horrible. Everyone has that. So, anyone who has had that memory, or anyone who's had that experience, has asked this very important question. And everyone, at some point in their life, will ask this question. I don't care how deep you are in your walk with Christ. I don't care how wise you are. Everyone asks this question. And I think that it is the fundamental question of all mankind. Why?
Wow.
God.
Wow. That's right.
Why?
Wow.
You know, they did a poll about why people don't believe in the existence of God, right? A lot of people will say reasons like, science, blah, 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 blah. But the number one question that came up the most all across the world was, if there is a God, why does he let bad things happen? Why did he allow me to suffer? Why did he allow them to suffer? Why? 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 This is the biggest question. And this question is actually, they found from polls, this question is the main reason why people choose to either leave the faith of God or to never believe in him in the first place. Is because they just don't know the answer. God, you have the power. I've heard this a lot, and it's a valid question. If God is such a loving God, if he is such a loving God, if he cares about me so much, why did he let that happen? If you have asked that question out, don't get too holy here. If you have ever asked that question, raise your hand. Okay, there's some people that never ask that question. I admire your faith. I really do. Raise your hand one more time. I'm sorry, hold it up there. I want everyone in the church to look around. Okay. Put your hands down. So a lot of people wonder that. Me too. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. It's a story called The Boy and the Seed. Okay? The Boy and the Seed. Actually, it's two stories. Two simultaneous stories that are happening at the same time. Right? So, part one. The seed and the boy have a very, very similar beginning. The little seed holds the power to produce a mighty tree. Anybody got a tree in their yard? Or seen like a really, really huge tree and you're like, whoa, and you wish you could climb it, but you can't? And you try? Never mind, I'm not gonna tell my story. So, it holds the power to produce a mighty tree, as much as hundreds of feet in height, weighing in at several tons. I want you guys to imagine, let's imagine I got this imaginary seed in my pocket, bing, right here. You guys see it? Oh, try. Alright, so this imaginary seed is about this big, and it can create a tree that is hundreds of feet in height, several tons, right? Huge, a huge, huge creation, right? If the seed reaches its potential, It will not only stand amongst the mightiest of trees in a whole forest, but it will produce hundreds and thousands of other fruits and seeds that produce that same power. So this little guy has a lot of power and potential in it, does he not?
That's right.
Right? So, if he produces that fruit, those seeds will create the same other kind of fruit. They'll create other trees. And this seed holds the future welfare of the forest. This tiny seed has the potential to bring a new age of life, feeding all of the life around it and excelling past the canopy into the glory of the sun. Doesn't that sound beautiful? That sounds great. It sounds really good. It sounds exciting to be the seed right now. It will overlook the majesty of God's creation, a testament of the glory of his hand, a symbol of wisdom and power in its ripe age. It would shade the animals, it would feed the people, and it will put oxygen into the air if it reaches its potential. This is the power of the seed. The seed is originally designed with nutrients in its early stage that it would need to survive. So it's got some good soil, it's got a little bit of water, some sunshine, right? It's starting off right. It's got some good nutrients put into it, and it's just dropped onto the ground. It's laying there, okay? So that's the seed story. Everybody got that down? That's the seed. All right, so the boy is not so different. Small, seemingly insignificant now, the boy has the power to produce a mighty man of God. Not a tree, but a man of God. A man of valor, power, honor, and integrity. We got any men like that here? Amen. It's part of the boys. A man who would be a symbol and example of what a man of God should be for all the upcoming boys to see and learn from. He'd protect the weak and those who are unable to protect themselves. He'd bring direction to the lost. He'd be an influence to those in authority, and he'd bring prosperity to those in need. He'd multiply himself through legacy. Inside his innocent young heart and mind is an imagination crafted by God, capable of beautiful creations and innovations, unlimited in potential and the impact that he could make on the world. This is the power of the boy. The boy was given nuggets of wisdom from those around him. They told him to dream, they told him to hope, and to always trust in the Lord. Okay, so we got the seed and the boy. Who remembers when they were a little kid? I don't know how many, oh, okay, so 4 people remember. 4 people. Who remembers when you were a little kid? You were young. Okay, so imagine the imagination you had. I talk to some young kids now. The funniest thing is to ask kids, really, really young kids, what are you going to be when you grow up? They are so sure of it. They are so sure. And they have this wonder in their eyes and everything. Like, what are you going to be when you grow up? They're like, I'm going to be an astronaut, or I'm going to be a doctor. Some of us wanted to be dinosaurs when we grew up. And we knew it was going to happen. I know when Jurassic Park first came out. Anybody remember when Jurassic Park first came out? Okay, when it first came out, listen, I had a dream. I was determined. And people told me in school I could be whatever I want to be, just put your mind to it. I'm serious, y'all laughing at my dream. I was going to be a velociraptor. So, what I did, I used to take my brother's belt, and I used to tuck it in the back of my pants, right? And I used to practice at least a half hour a day. I would walk around, I would try to swing the little belt, and there was no reason why I could not be a dinosaur. You couldn't tell me that that's not what I'm going to be. And if any of you guys have children, you know that wonder, you know that imagination that they have. It's beautiful, it really is. If you ever have a bad day, sit and have a full-on conversation with a child. It's wonderful, it really is. And at this age, you may have had a grandmother or a mother. I have my wonderful mom, right? She brings in all this wisdom into you. She reads Bible verses to you, hopefully, or she tells you some sort of wisdom. Maybe your grandma's bringing you to church. You remember to say your prayers. You have that nutrients inside you, young and innocent, just like the seed. There's the boy or the girl, right? So, somewhere along the way, that innocent you who thought you could grow up and be a velociraptor or an astronaut, or a doctor, or find Prince Charming, or his princess, or whatever you think that you were going to find, somewhere along the way, you experienced the first harshness of the world. Somehow. Some of you guys, it was as small as just disappointment. When you see disappointment on a child's face, it's heartbreaking. It could be something as simple as, I tried to make this macaroni piece of art, and it looks ugly. And it's just macaroni, glue, and paper, but to that child, it can mean, man, that means I really can't be a painter. I can't. Or they try to sing something, and someone says, ew, you sound crazy. That first disappointment, that first time you realize that, it's like, ooh, let me stop a little bit. Maybe your harshness of the world was a little bit more. Maybe it was poverty. Maybe you grew up watching your parents struggle. And you had a dream when you were a child, you're like, I'm gonna have a castle, I'm gonna have a gold toilet, you had all these great things. There was no limitation. But you started to see things that challenged your view. You see your parents struggle with money, or you have lost, you experienced someone dying young. Maybe it was something a little more extreme. Maybe as a child, hopefully not, but maybe you were molested. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you were spoken to in a certain way that made you believe that you were less than what you are. Maybe that's the memory. Maybe that's the wincing memory. Something happens that, you guys see that little child in that picture? He looks so happy about that little plant. And something happens that changes us. This is the rain. The first bit of rain that comes. This is the second part of the story of the boy and the seed. So both the boy and the seed begin to experience the harshness of the world. The boy saw incredible violence in his surroundings. At the tender age of 10 years old, this boy witnesses a man being shot right in front of him. He was 10. Imagine the impact that has on a child's mind, on their perception of life. Can you imagine? At this age, early in his development, he learned and accepted that life is fragile and can be taken in an instant. Nothing is promised. That's how this young boy starts to think. Nothing is promised. Anything can be taken from me, even my life. The young boy saw his single mother struggle and push to keep food on the table, sometimes working as many as 3 jobs at once. So he's seeing this. He's seeing struggle, so let's see how this impacts his mind a little bit. Even with all the hard work she put in, it seemed that it wasn't enough for the world. The boy would go to school with Payless sneakers and hand-me-downs that clearly were not sized for him. And the other children sneered and teased him and laughed heartily at his expense. The other children sported Jordans, Nikes, Adidas, that was back, whatever. Nice shirts, they had their haircuts all the time. This little boy, he was not looking the way he felt on the inside. Remember the man of valor that I described in the beginning? About the power that he could have? Well, this is what he's seeing. I'm wearing hand-me-downs. I have Payless sneakers. The other kids are laughing at me. Anyone ever experienced that laugh at your expense? Mm-hmm. Raise your hand if you experienced that. Okay. So we're learning a lot about each other here too. Yeah, and it's funny, the other kids, they'll just walk up, what are those? What are you wearing? What is that? And to you, this is the best that I got. And it's not enough. And you begin to compare yourself with the people around you. So this kid's scrawny and awkward. It's not long before this boy begins to feel inadequate. His dreams and his hope dwindle just a little. He feels nothing like the man that's inside him, that he's designed to be, that he has the potential to be. That part of him, that perception of himself begins to die just a little bit. And the boy begins to silently ponder the question, why, God? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why am I not the same as them? So that's the boy's experience. Let's look at the seed. The seed is experiencing its own setbacks. Constant rain batters the seed. Wind whips it across the forest floor into mud and dirt. It's kicked and trampled on. Oftentimes the seed is lost among piles and piles of dead leaves. Surrounded and covered by the death of other trees and vegetation around it, it seems as if the seed will never see the glorious canopy. Instead, it's drenched in the harsh light of the forest floor. With no sun, the seed is stuck in its pitiful surroundings, stuck to the forest floor. Kia, you were right on it, by the way. You were right on it. You really were. Stuck on the forest floor, that tiny seed does not appear to be the precursor to a mighty tree, does it? Does it sound like the glorious, huge tree? No, it's being kicked across the floor. It's being trampled on. It's covered in piles of dead leaves. So bottom line, all of us reach this place in our lives where we feel stuck. It could be a negative relationship. Some people, there are a lot of people that get stuck in negative relationships. It's easy to happen. You're in a relationship with someone, you know you shouldn't be in that relationship with them. It could be romantic. Maybe you have a friendship and you just have that friend that's just dragging you down, right? Maybe you're stuck in a financial rut. You just keep struggling with money, no matter what. You feel like as soon as you start making a little bit more money, all of a sudden the bills go up and match that amount. That happened to anybody?
Yeah.
You got a little pay raise and you get a bill raise.
Yeah.
Your pay raise and your bill raise are scheduled for the same time. That's just how it is, right? Maybe you feel like you're at a dead-end job. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be this person. You have this dream of where you want to be at, but you've just been at the same job for the longest time. You just feel stuck. You feel like there are piles and piles of dead leaves on top of you. Like you're surrounded by the death of everything around you. Maybe it's mistakes you have made that people won't let go of. Maybe it's things that you have done, maybe you won't let go of it. Something you did, and you're supposed to be reaching to the canopy, but you allow those dead leaves and dead vegetation, it's just on top of you. And you're being kicked across the forest floor, stuck in mud, stuck in dirt, and you feel like a tiny little seed that was supposed to be a mighty tree. If anybody experienced that feeling, say amen.
Amen.
So there were people in the Bible who have also gone through this. Anybody know David? Anybody? No? I don't know if I heard about David. But David, before he was mighty David with the sling killing Goliath, he was watching a bunch of sheep. Like, that sounds kind of whack. A little bit. It doesn't sound as great as being like, I don't know, mighty king that destroyed an entire army and a giant. You know, I don't know if anyone has ever been around sheep. They're not that entertaining. So that's where David was for a long time, just chilling. Until Samuel came. His brothers all going out to war. He's just, sheep, stepping in sheep poop. You know, he was sitting there for a while. Peter had a fisherman's job. And his brother Andrew, just sitting there fishing every day. Probably smelled like fish. You know, that was just the majority of his day. Fishing every day. Before he became, you know, the Simon Peter who we know, the one who walked across the water, the rock of the church, he was fishing every day. Every single day. Okay, fishing is cool to us. To us, it's like, yeah, let's go fishing. Because we go like, you know, once a month, we catch like a fish and a half. We brag, we lie about the size of the fish. And then, you know, we cook it and eat it. It's a good time. Every day. Crank. That feels pretty stuck, right? Who else here? Who else we got here? Moses, chilling in Midian. He came from being a prince, and I don't know, it seemed like the princess of Egypt was pretty fly to me. I know in a little cartoon movie he was looking fly. I know y'all seen that movie. He had like gold bracelets, and he's in Midian after murdering someone stuck in a tent. Well, I'm the Prince of Egypt, but no, that's not. He's stuck. And Abraham, let's not forget him. Abraham is chilling in his father's little fake God statue shop. And he's the father of the Israelites. And he was chilling there with his father's little action figures. That's all. I don't know why. In my mind, I picture action figures. I picture like a lot of G.I. Joes. And he's like, Abraham, watch these gods. I don't know why I see that. But they were all stuck. They all had piles of dead leaves on them. Right? All of them had that. So let's go back to our original question. God, why? Why are you allowing this to happen? So the boy begins to ask this question. It's because he doesn't understand. He's a child. Anyone in that position, most of us have asked that question before. It's natural to ask. But the seed, I know this story sounds like it's about the boy, but I really want you to pay attention to the seed. The seed, this is going to be groundbreaking. Check this out, check this out. It's crazy. Yeah. Ready? The seed was silent. The seed didn't say anything. The seed did not say, why, God? Why art thou punishing me? The seed was just on the floor. Rain, I don't know. Like, you ever get hit by the rain? You ever get hit by a raindrop and it's like the first one? And it's like, wow, that was really heavy. He got hit by a really big raindrop. And this seed is tiny. He's quiet. Okay, it's raining. Cool. And we're asking why? Why? Right? Why? Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Suffering in the Bible is mentioned 18, the word suffering in the King James Version is mentioned 18 times. The word seed in the King James Version is mentioned 252 times. If there's one thing I learned about the Word of God, is if he says something more than once, it's pretty important. It's pretty important, right? So let's move on to this next part of the story. The wrong path. The wrong path. As the boy grew, he began to stray, as many of us often do. He began hanging with the wrong crowd, began doing the wrong things. He became lost in the very world that it seemed he was made to bring prosperity to. He was lost in it. He became violent and angry, full of pain and sorrow. He fell into trouble and danger, time and time again. Gangs, guns, and police sirens became his norm. A world he became accustomed to. A world of fighting, running for his life, in constant fear of someone who might hurt him or harm him. One night he even found himself handcuffed to the bench of a police station, staring into the holding cells. And he wondered, how did he ever get himself here? And how is he going to get back? The seed also found itself in trouble. Danger surrounded it all around. It seemed that everything wanted to devour the seed, and with it, all of its potential and power. Squirrels nibbled on it, buried it, dug it back up, buried it again, sometimes cracking it. Birds swallowed it and emitted it in the form of feces out the other end. I know a lot of us have been through a lot. I don't think anyone's gotten eaten and pooped out, right? So it would be emitted to various locations, right? Miles and miles away from its home. It seemed that both the boy and the bird have indeed, the boy and the seed have indeed been in the belly of the beast. And both have been taken far away from their intended paths. So the boy asks why, and the seed is silent. Say that again. The seed is what?
Silent.
The seed is silent. I don't know. The seed knows something that we don't know. Many of us stray from our destiny. Some of us by choice, others by forces that are beyond our control, right? In some cases, it's both. Now, let's be honest. Nobody likes a zigzag path. We hate that. I know I hate zigzag paths. When it comes to your destiny, we want God. Sometimes I wish that God would just say, Henry, listen, you're going to go from point A to point B this way. And that's it. And it's like, okay, cool. Point A, point B. But it does not work out like that. And it gets incredibly, incredibly frustrating, right? Sometimes we say, God, why do you allow us to be confused? Or can you just warn me about what the obstacles are going to be? You know, can you just tell me, oh, by the way, this is going to happen, you're not going to be able to get that job, so you're going to have to go this way. You can't go to that school. If you try that, this is going to happen, so just go this way. And avoid that person, because that girl crazy, and then go this way. But he won't say nothing, right? He'll just go through it. This could be delays in college. I know there's a lot of students who feel like, for those of you guys who are in college, there could be so many delays and where you think you're supposed to be. For some of us, we feel like we still haven't found our calling. We don't know what we're supposed to do, and it's a zigzag. We're bouncing from place to place, and each time you're like, I'm supposed to be here. No, wait, here. This is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know. We keep moving. We keep bouncing around. Maybe it's finding your peace. Maybe you need to find a place that you feel like you belong and you're at peace, and this is what my life is supposed to be like, and you just can't find that place. Right? There are people in the Bible who have gone through the same thing. Okay, David strayed off his own path with Bathsheba. Messed his own self up. His own self. Same thing with Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. God told that boy to wait. And he did not. Okay? And it can give you a zigzag path, right? Saul/Paul, Saul later known as Paul, Paul himself, thinking that he was following God's word, was persecuting Christians the whole time, thinking he's on God's path. I'm doing the right thing. I'm good. Little did he know. Why? Why is God allowing this to happen? Why does God allow us to stray? Why? And why in the world is the seed quiet? Why don't seeds complain? They go through a lot of crap. They really do. I'll be really upset if someone swallowed me and pooped me out the other end and kept burying me and digging me up. I'll be really, don't you see I'm trying to grow a tree here? And that's what we say about our lives. God, don't you know what I'm trying to do? Don't you know? This is the crisis moment. And a very tragic and dramatic climax of events. The boy finds himself riding in the back of an ambulance. Red fluid gushing from his flesh. An attempt on his life leaves him nearly dead. He awaits the tubes coming in and out of his broken body. Numerous doctors, surgeons, and nurses come in and out of his room daily, shaking their heads and writing on charts. A ventilator puts air into his lungs, and he is a mere shadow of his former self. Skin and bones with not enough strength to even speak a word. Confined to a bed, far away from the rest of the world. It seems like the man that he was meant to be is lost forever. Alone in that hospital bed with nothing but the sound of the ventilator and the rhythmic beeping of monitors, the boy wept. And he wept, and he wept every day and every night, staring at the ceiling, saying, "Why, God?" Has anyone experienced a crisis moment?
Yes.
Where you feel like, let me tell you the seed story. The seed also finds its tragedy. There's a large pillar of smoke emerging from the distance, reaching into the sky, The smell of ashes is filling the air as flames rip through the life and the vegetation of the forest floor, spreading and destroying everything in its path, seemingly devouring hope along with it. Trees fall, spewing hot cinders and charcoal. The rage of the fire continues until it fills its hunger, leaving the forest a barren wasteland. It looks devoid of life. The seed, with the potential to be a mighty tree, is badly burned. But the seed is still silent. See, tragedy strikes all of us. And if it hasn't, I promise you I'm not putting a curse on your life. If you haven't experienced tragedy yet, you will. That's not a curse, that is a loving warning. Often, in a way where it feels like everything is just taken from us. It feels like that picture. It feels like someone lit your life on fire. Our hope is devoured and sucked dry until we feel like there's nothing left. Our lives feel like a burned, barren wasteland. But why would God allow that? Why? Does he not have the power to save the boy? Or save the forest? God loves his creations, right? Why would he allow forest fire? Why would he allow all those trees to be burned? Why? Moses had an event in which he felt like his life was completely torn apart. He murdered that man. He killed him. And lost everything, lost his royalty, and was living in the desert. Paul, who he thought himself a man of God, on the road to Damascus was blinded by Jesus himself and was sitting in a house. A powerful, well-respected man sitting in a house, blinded, scales on his eyes, talking to himself, not eating or drinking. We're going to experience some type of tragedy. But if anyone knows, no, let me not spoil that. Let me not spoil that. Suddenly, something happens. Something is stirring in the forest. What can it be? The little seedling, tossed and burned. Deep inside that seedling, something is happening. Something is changing. How? What is it? The shell, the protective shell that was holding the seed closed has been broken. Did you guys know that many forest seeds, in fact, most of them, will not germinate unless they have been burned by a forest fire?
Wow.
Did you know that forests would stop growing and seeds would not grow if there was not the intense heat of a forest fire? Isn't that powerful? Does that not tell you something about our God?
Wow.
That it requires the intense heat and burning of a forest fire to spark that life into existence. Jesus.
Mm. Wow.
You can clap.
Praise God.
Check it out. The protective shell has been broken and now the seed is free. The seed begins to peek out of the shell. It reaches out just a little. The burned charcoal that was dead all around it in the leaves. You guys remember the leaves that were piling on top of the seed? Now the leaves are being used as fertilizer to grow the seed. To grow the seed, all the dead leaves, all the dead vegetation, all the charcoal now is growing, and the seed is reaching just a little bit, another inch. You remember all the rain that was coming down, all the rain that was hitting the seed, the poor little seed? Now all that water is absorbing. It's taking all that and it's using it as nutrients, and it's growing and it's twiddling around and it's getting outside of the shell and it's growing more and another inch and another inch. And you know, the birds and the animals that have taken a seed and buried it and picked it back up and swallowed it and pooped it out the other end, do you know that it uses their fecal matter as fertilizer, and it needs it to swallow it to put it in a position of better fertile ground so that the seed can grow, and it grows just a little bit. It starts to peek out the shell even more, and it grows an inch and an inch and an inch until out of death comes life.
Praise God.
Hallelujah. Check this out. Listen. See, the seed was silent because it understood something that most of us never get wise enough to understand. No matter where you go, what you do, or what has happened to you, the potential and the purpose that God has planned for you is always, always still alive inside of you.
Wow.
Amen.
And every bad thing that happens to you, God will use to make you better. God will use to make you stronger. And God will use to make you wiser. The seed knows this. God's creation is the greatest testament to his glory and wisdom. Did you guys know that they found a seed 2,000 years old from the exact year that Jesus walked on this earth? They found a seed still like an old artifact seed. You know, they took that seed and they planted it, and when it finally got that water, you know that seed grew into a flower.
Wow.
2,000 years later. 2,000 years later.
Wow.
That means that the potential, the dreams that God has put inside you, the visions that God has put inside you, the power and the calling that God has put inside you, you will wake up at 92 years old and fulfill that purpose that God originally put in you. You are meant to be a mighty tree. Do not give up on the forest floor. You are made for that to happen. God designed you to be able to absorb the fire in your life, to be absorb the rain in your life, to be able to absorb being eaten and chewed and kicked and stomped on, to make you a stronger, bigger, and better final product. Hallelujah.
All right.
Use your poverty. If you've been through poverty, use it to fuel you to succeed. If you've been through abuse, use your testimony to reach the lost. Use that empathy, because no one else is going to understand what they went through but you. Until you come to them and speak to them and say, listen, I know what you're feeling. Use that. If you've made mistakes, reach those who feel like no one understands them. All of that is for a purpose. All of that is for a purpose. So as we come to the end of our story, what happened to the boy? We got to see, well, those nutrients that were given to him all those years ago as a boy began to take root. He hoped again. He dreamed again. And most of all, he trusted in the Lord again. He was told that he'd never have full use of his right foot. He was told that he'd never be able to drive or run again. He was told he'd never be at 100% again. He was told he'd never sing again. He was told that no one in his condition would be able to go back to full-time work again, that he wouldn't have the energy or the vitality to be able to go back and finish college. The worst news of all that he heard, a doctor came to him and told him, listen, you probably have about 5 years before your liver begins to shut down and your organs stop working and you die. I'm sorry. Some of you guys were here for this. About 5 years ago, that boy strolled into this sanctuary in a wheelchair.
Amen.
Right?
Yes,
Today, he stands on stage with this microphone.
Amen.
And today, he reaches outside the cell of his seat, reaching towards the camera. It was 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
This was last week. So before you go, I want you to remember a few things. I want you to remember this from the seed. What can we learn from seeds? Why did God mention seeds 252 times? Check it out. This is something I want you to remember. You are destined for greatness.
Amen.
And do not doubt it for a second. It doesn't matter if you start to use that greatness now or 2,000 years from now, like that seed. It is still inside you. It is still inside you when it is ready to grow. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Number 2, you will go through difficult times. It is inevitable. You will go through difficult times. But I want you to remember John 16:33. I have said these things to you that you may have peace. In the world, you will have tribulation, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. Amen. Amen. This is one that a lot of us forget. You will make mistakes on your path. You will. It's inevitable. All have fallen short. You may even take the wrong path. You may not know where you're going to go. You may take a million paths. The bird may be carrying from here to there to there, poop you out over here, pick up again, poop you out over there. But check it out. Proverbs 24:16. Y'all like that? Proverbs 24:16. For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again. And rises again. But the wicked stumble in times of calamity. See, the only difference between the seed that takes root, turns into a tree, and the seed that stays on the forest floor is that one will fall, get up, get sweet, get rained on, and then say, I'm still going to grow.
Amen. Amen.
I'm still going to grow. This verse says it all. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. That's the last verse I'm going to leave with you all. You see that tree? That is a mustard seed tree. Mustard seeds are one of the smallest seeds in the world. Plant that tree anywhere and be one of the biggest trees. And it reads, for I consider that the suffering of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's all I got. Be like the seed. Be like the seed. Remember, the rain is meant to make you grow. The dead leaves will fertilize you. And the intense fire will set you free so that you can finally grow and reach the canopy.
Come, brother.
Thank you.
Amen.